All right, halfway house. Got this fine automobile that I swapped to a G56. Kevy boy was asking about it. I'm gonna try to give the ins and outs of what I remember. I started buying parts for this swap. Actually, I originally wanted to put a T56 in it, in 2008. This is an 07. I bought it brand new, August 28, 2007. I put headers, gears, all that kind of crap on it, what they call day two, when it was a couple months old. I had this thing at the San Antonio Raceway when it was, I don't know, 3 weeks old. But anyway, so I've done a lot of crap to this on and off throughout the years. Always wanted a 6-speed manual. G56 wasn't my first choice, but I can use factory stuff and it's easier to find, so that's why I went with the G56. And San Antonio Raceway doesn't exist anymore. There's no drag strips. I'm 38 years old now. I'm not drag racing this thing. I just, look at that fat sack of shit. I just wanted a manual trans. I put a manual trans in everything. I mean, that thing's got a manual trans. I'm about to put a 4-speed in my wagon, etc., whatever. So, from what I remember, these are, you couldn't get a manual trans behind a Hemi in a half ton. Ever. 3/4 ton, 1 ton only. The G56 is late 05 to 08 only in the Hemis. You could get them to in the diesels until 2018. The diesel trans is different. The bell housing is different. The input shaft is smaller on the Hemis, much larger on the diesels. So they don't interchange. So there's that. These plastics, hard to find. These should be, this one should be 05 to 08 or 09 half ton. I think that's the same back to 03 or 02 half ton, I think. But that's all factory stuff. I put a Hurst shifter in it because I put Hurst in everything. You will need this piece, which is the lower shield, inspection cover, whatever you want to call it. This was super hard to find. This is gas only. The diesels don't have this. I do have a part number. I don't know if you can see it. I'm trying to beat the rain here. 521077553AC. That should be the correct lower. This is not the correct lower brace. This is for an automatic. It was super hard to find the G56 one for a Hemi, but it looks similar to this, but obviously it's a much larger bolt pattern, so that's gonna be hard to find. I haven't found one yet. They do exist. There are part numbers out there. You're gonna have to do some research because I don't remember, but I have found one. I just haven't bought one yet. What else? I mean, everything else is pretty much factory. Like I said, 05 to 08 starter, flywheel. I put a center force clutch in it. One thing I am going to change is I'm going to put a transfer case behind this, because this being a long bed, I can't get a slip shaft aluminum drive shaft that's long enough, and I refuse to put a 2-piece drive shaft in this thing. So by putting a transfer case in it, it's going to allow me, it's going to come back to here, obviously underneath, but so for one, that'll give me 1.5 feet or so of length, and it's going to give me a slip yoke instead of a slip shaft, so then I can run a 1-piece aluminum drive shaft. So that's why I'm doing that. And people think it's fucking crazy, but honestly, it's actually, my neighbor was like, "Why don't you just do that?" I'm like, "That's a great idea." And I think I'm actually going to put a fucking shifter in it, so I do have low range as well. Obviously, it's a 2-wheel drive, so I won't have 4-wheel drive, but it will fix most of my problems for. I mean, it's still going to be expensive drive shaft, but transfer case is going to cost me about $800 for a good used one, and it fixes my length problem and my slip yoke problem. So there's that. Again, I got 456 gears in this thing. Being a 2-wheel drive with the G56 and the shitty overdrive, I'm probably going to go to a 410. This rear end's worn the fuck out anyway. It's got 207,000 miles. I bought this thing brand new August 28, 2007, and I beat the fuck out of it. Never put U-joints in it, and I've never put anything on the front end on it, and it drives great, but it's time. Now it's been sitting for 2 years. So anyway, there's that. One thing, I'm trying to stay out of the mud. It's been raining. So I used a 48 RE. I don't know if you can see it. Trans mount, and I left the cross member in the stock location. I thought about trying to get a 3/4 ton cross member and making ears for it and moving the shit back, but I don't know if you can tell, but I mean, I only moved it back probably 2 inches, probably not even 2 inches. So, and I also dropped it down about 1/8 of an inch to make my driveline angle better. So I thought that was the easiest and best way, rather than, you know, reinventing the goddamn wheel. Just move it back, drop it down. I mean, I've done it with Muncie swaps in the past, so not a huge deal. That's really about it. As far as tuning, I don't really know. I've had custom tunes on this thing in the past, so I don't think it's a big deal. Everyone says that when I first started looking at this in, you know, 2008, everyone's like, well, if you don't put a custom tune on it, then you're gonna lose RPM, because it's gonna send the engine into limp mode and all this crap. One thing you will have to do is ground the neutral safety switch, and I haven't done any of that yet. But so basically what I did to test this shit before I tore it apart was I started it so I didn't have to ground the neutral safety switch, because it grounds through the transmission. So I started it, unplugged every sensor on the transmission, and it threw the transmission into limp mode. So that means you only have second, third, fourth gears. But it did still allow the engine to free rev all the way up to, you know, I had my rev limiter set at 6100 or whatever. So I didn't have any issues with motor revving. Engine wise, I had no issues. So the transmission shouldn't matter. What else? So anyway, without a custom tune, I mean, you're going to have check engine lights. Like I said, you're going to have to ground your neutral safety switch, put it on a switch, put it on a clutch switch. I delete clutch switches on everything because I think it's fucking bullshit. One other thing, real quick. Yeah, I put a 5-speed in this thing. Where's my dually? About to put a 4-speed in this thing. I put a 6-speed in my dually there. My 65 wagon back there, I've got a whole 4-speed set up for that. This is already a 4-speed, so I put manual trans in everything. But one thing with the G56 is that, like I said, you can't really see. The bell housing is much bigger on the Cummins ones. This is a Cummins one. The input shaft is bigger on the Cummins ones, but the flange and this output shaft are the same. This is a 29 spline, and I don't know if you can see in there, this is hollow and it's threaded. So if you have a 2-wheel drive, you just get the flange for that. It goes over here, it bolts in there, done deal. But you do have to swap you can't see, but there's 2 different seals for 4-wheel drive, 2-wheel drive. They're different. So whichever you use, obviously your transfer case would bolt here. So the transmissions themselves are the same. You will have to swap the seal. And the Hemi one is the same output shaft as this. It's a 29 spline, same as the Cummins shit. So anyway, that's about all I can tell you on the swap. I made a whole video on what's needed to swap a G56 into that 91. I guess I never really made one on this, but this was much simpler. It's pretty much all stock shit. It's just all stock 2500 shit. It's hard to find parts for them. The Cummins stuff is much easier to find. But anyway, I cannot wait. You know, people are always like, fuck that plain Jane, you know, half-ton long bed Hemi. I'm like, I fucking love this truck. With a manual trans, it's gonna be even better. But this shifter doesn't quite fit. I'm gonna have to, you know, heat her up and bend her a little bit, but that's a little tight. But not a big deal. Those were even hard to find. I had to drive a 4.5 hour round trip to get this, and it was like $150 for this piece. I mean, the boot was hard to find. It's all expensive, it's all hard to find, but it's gonna be worth it. So anyway, G56 swap, that's what you gotta do. If you got any questions, I guess hit me up on Messenger is probably the easiest way. Robert J. Lewis. But yeah, there's a Hemi G56 swap. As far as I know, it's never been done. Again, you couldn't get a 5.7 with a manual trans in a half-ton, and I've heard people say, yes, you can. My uncle's cousin had one. No, he fucking didn't. They didn't fucking make them. I've also heard that you could get them up to a 2018 in a 6.4 cabin chassis, and you can Google that shit till you fucking die, and you're not going to find a single one. I've never seen one. I've never heard, like, confirmed, you know, accounts of one. I've never seen pictures of one, but they did say that you could get a 6.4 cabin chassis with a G56. I've never seen one, not in a 4th gen. 3rd gen, yes. So anyway, that's 06 to 08, you know, or 09, I guess. Or actually late 05 to 09, but basically 06 to 08 is what you're going to find for Hemi G56 stuff. So that's about all I know. I need to put my Caltrax on. You got a big old cam, Inertia Motorsports cam in it. You know, 6.1 push rods, Hellcat lifters, blah, blah, blah. But the G56 is going to be the best part. Oh, I got my pedals in. I think that's all 3rd gen. And you can do that shit without pulling the column or pulling the whole aluminum frame out. You can slide those pins in and out and get the pedals in without pulling all that shit apart, so that's nice. Oh, one more thing. Oh, actually, I don't know if I ever put them in. Oh, I didn't put them in. But if you can see in there, that's where your hydraulics go. I was going to try Cummins hydraulics because they're easier to find. I guess I never put them in, but those are available from, you know, Slow Riley or Napa or VatoZone. You can find the stock hydraulics. I used to do a lot of Cummins stuff, so I saved up, you know, multiple good known sets of hydraulics, so I was going to use that. What else? Anyway, I think this video is long enough. Again, if you got any questions, hit me up on Messenger, Robert J. Lewis. That's me. So anyway, pretty clean old truck, you know, for an 07. All right, Hemi G56 swap. Check out the motor one time real quick. I actually painted it Chevy orange because it's a much better color. Hemi orange is fucking ugly. But anyway, it's about ready to finish. It's only been sitting for about 2 years now, which I really miss this truck. Is, you know, plain Jane and 2-wheel drive long bed. Like, who wants this thing? But I'm telling you, back in, you know, my college days, dude, because I bartended, so I get off work late, you know, and there'd be some power strokes and bullshit hanging around, and dude, when you get smoked by this piece of shit, it really pisses them off. So that's kind of why I never, you know, I kept the Steelies on it. And you know, it's got dents and dings and whatever, but yeah, you got a, you know, 500 horse diesel and you get smoked by this piece of shit, you're like, what the fuck, dude? So I always left it kind of, you know, ratty, just leave it alone. Anyway, I don't know how many races I'm gonna win with a 6-speed, not this 6-speed anyways, but it'll be much more fun to drive. I'm 38 years old, I'm not in college, I don't live in a college town anymore, but halfway house. Hit me up if you got any questions. I will see y'all later.